it's not a defense of Tiffany, and it's not knocking her. Well, what is the difference? Let me tell you, there's not a difference. If what she's doing is wrong, then what he is doing is wrong, because it is the exact same thing.
Welcome to part 2 of my interview with Nyota and Monet, who are running for positions in Calumet City. In your opinions, why is there so much outrage directed towards Tiffany Henyard? And we've had the same frustrations in Harvey, where we're like, hey, Mayor Clark might not be as sensational, but he does things that are even worse. Again, not saying that anyone is, some people have accused us of defending Tiffany or being fans of Tiffany.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, that's not it at all. But we're saying, why is all the attention focused on one person? And it almost feels like it's manufactured, or that someone wants it that way, because
one is gender based. That's one of the first things. I think it's gender based, so it's easier to do. That's number one. And number two is, I believe with both positions, I think that supervisor position holds a lot of power, and I think there's individuals that want that seat, and I believe that people band together to get what it is that they want. I have an affidavit signed by Alderwoman Wilson, who at one time was having a conversation because she was new to the council. She don't know what's going on, and the attacks had started on me very early before they had started on her. And he went around, and I guess he was showing her different properties, and offered her a property to
this was the mayor?
Mayor Jones. Mayor, okay. So let me make sure I say this clearly for the record. Mayor Jones offered Alderwoman Wilson at the time a property to be quiet, to step back and not assist me when he comes after me. So what he did was project the attack. And before he projected and before he executed, and he was already bothering me at that time, but before he went to that next level, he actually wanted to hush her. And so that's what she took. She rejected it. And I'm going to tell you that Tiffany Henyard said the same thing. She has a business in Calumet City, and he told her, according to her, if you, I don't need you to help the clerk. I don't need you to help the clerk, and I'll give you your business license. And she rejected that also. And so I'm grateful that she did reject that, because then, I don't know, maybe she would have been attacking me and he would not be after her. But she rejected that. And that, I believe, had something to do maybe around the downfall of their relationship, because then that's when he started supporting other elected officials for that seat. Because it was at one time that they were using the same terminology as mayors. So because there was issues in both villages that they were having. Right. And so they were using some of the same terminology. So you would think, hey, they're kind of talking to each other or advising, each other on things based upon what they believe. And then that is what happened. And so I believe that that people want that seat. I believe that, and her being a woman, I believe that has a lot to do with it. And it is definitely politics over people.
And I'm going to add to that, because it's definitely gender-based. But it's also a phrase and one attribute. The phrase is 2 words, I'm sorry, and the attribute is accountability. So we can't overlook that either. What Jones is good at is spending your money, but saying, I'm sorry, I won't do it again.
And then do it again.
And then do it again, but he has apologized. We don't see that from Supervisor Henyard often.
So you think that sort of protects him a little bit from that?
It does, because it gives an illusion of accountability.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent $200,000 of your tax dollars on a car for me and my wife. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But then you go and you buy airline tickets to New Orleans for a Bears game, you and the alderman, using the credit card.
Okay.
But over in the township, maybe, yes, I spent however much money in Amazon purchases for Christmas for the children. I'm sorry it didn't come before the board. We never got I'm sorry. We never got what people feel is accountability. And I think that also is the difference, because there's nothing to fall back on. So I believe wholeheartedly she was doing what she felt was right for the community. I just think it was done maybe in a manner. It was done in a manner that the people didn't approve, and the council, the board didn't approve of, and there was never a "I'm sorry, moving forward, this won't happen." In both cases, the "I'm sorry" should be followed up with change behavior, and that's not done.
Have you seen support from the residents that have come out to support you guys?
My residents cannot stand the text messages that he sends. My residents cannot stand the attacks, the negative mail. My residents love her as a clerk, and they do not appreciate the things that she has to go through. We have, I'm trying not to be sensational myself, but I call them the double dippers. A mayor that is state rep, a township assessor who wants to be city clerk too. And you're already on an abatement board for Cook County, and you sit on a school board. Like, how many positions do you need? But two of those are pension based. And then we have all of the other offices who are occupied by state officials. So we just want an opportunity at civility, at transparency, accountability, and our residents do support us.
I think the best type of leadership is servant leadership and transformational leadership. I believe that some of our leaders here in the Southland is missing that. And servant leadership doesn't mean that I'm just serving the residents. You have to serve the people you work with, and you have to be transformational and sometimes respecting individuals who may not have that level of power. And just because they don't have that level of power or the ability to do that, you don't minimize them or give them a voice, or take away their voice, or not give them an opportunity to speak on them, on different items or issues. A great leader will take everybody into account, and it is a democracy, and that is missing in the Southland. And so what we have started to present ourselves as our individual. I am this, that is it, that is all. I am X, Y, and Z title, and so I'm going to do it. I am this, and I have the opportunity to do it. Sometimes when people ask Mayor Jones, why did you do that to the clerk? I'm the mayor and I have the right to do blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't even explain why you did it, even if you have the authority. I have had, in my case, judges have had to recuse themselves because it's political. The county courts are political. They've either had to recuse themselves, or I've had to ask for them to be excused off the case because they've had to report some kind of dealings, whether it's they have used the law firm, that for the city, for campaign literature, or they've ran a fundraiser together. It has been 4 years, and judges pop on and pop off of these seats. And what I want to say, because the mayor would say, I didn't do anything to her. I can do this, I can do that. Where Cook County, where the leadership, where the state, where Illinois has failed, is no one has asked me, has it happened? No one has said, why is this happening? They either sit quietly or say, he says, I have the right to do it. Just because you may have the right to do something do not mean do it. It do not mean you should do it. And I feel that law enforcement agencies have failed me. I'm very disappointed. Someone who believed in the Democratic Party, someone who have spoken at Governor Pritzker's events on Women's Day event he had a few years ago. I was the speaker at this event. How could you allow these things things to happen and not stick your nose in it under the table, under the desk, call us in, thrash us, whatever it is, get us in the room, try to figure it out. No one has done that. They have taken their relationship, what they can barter, because he's in the General Assembly and they need his vote. They need him to vote on. I don't believe they necessarily care for him. I should be quiet.
Yeah,
allegedly, but that's the only thing I would say allegedly on. Well, no, I won't say allegedly on things as it relates to Mayor Jones, because if he has been allowed to do what it is that he can do to me and say about me, and he's never used allegedly, I am waiting on him to file something. So I will say Mayor Jones does not live in the city of Calumet City. Mayor Jones is abusive to women. Mayor Jones have been arrested previously years ago for his treatment of women. Mayor Jones, in my opinion, has sexually harassed me at work. He has put cameras in my office. He has attacked me personally. And I believe it's because I would not do things that he wanted me to do. I believe that he has attacked my character, her character. I believe he has an issue with women. And I won't even say I believe he does. And I will say that, and that's not allegedly, because if he can say all those things about me, if he can speak between my legs as a woman and it's okay and no one says anything, then I can say it too. And it's fair, because all is fair is fair. You cannot slap somebody and get mad when they swing back. You understand what I'm saying? And we get punished when we swing back. I am terribly disappointed. And all levels of government in the state of Illinois. Shame on them.
It's shameful. It's shameful.
Shame on them.
Just like a reporter was ticketed here. I was ticketed. The complaining person was the mayor, and the officer was the deputy chief of police. Right in the ticket, $2,000 ticket, because I mentioned his wife in a council meeting. If we're going to talk about grant money and nonviolence prevention money, then we have to talk about your wife who oversees that funding.
But he called your family a name.
He called my family a name in that meeting.
Message, in a text message, he attacked the family and her. I think that was the first time that the council said, let's investigate it. Now, nothing has come of that investigation. So when he called her those names, and I believe it was more about the family that he attacked than her. Personally, I'm not to minimize you.
No.
But I believe, and so then the council said, hey, that's not right. Let's look into who's doing this. And there was an investigation where nothing ever came out of it, because who's investigating our police? So I sent the email and I was like, hey, I have 25 text messages over here. Hey, he talked about and listed names of individuals who I supposedly slept with. Hey, he has talked about my medical history with that. When I sent you this,
he is
can I have an investigation
obsessed with her
too?
Vagina, and you are a married man.
Wow. And it's just so shocking to me that no one has, whether it's at your local police, state, county, federal, it sounds like no one has stepped in.
I have been kicked out of buildings. I have been escorted out of buildings.
We are all banned from senior buildings.
Yes, I have. Yes, he has called and threatened them in some kind of way. And because we have a relationship, they'll just say, well, Clerk Figs, you got to go. Like, don't give us that, and because out of respect, and I will leave. The assistant chief approached me one time, and I was handing out calendars in the building, and they said, he doesn't want you in the building when he's in the building. This is a separate senior building during the day, and I am the city clerk, and then those people in those other towns, Dalton specifically, and I won't say any names because it seems like because they're employees, they're protected and we are elected officials. But there are Dalton elected officials that are employees of the city that literally treat me like shit, like that come into my office and run my office and treat me as if I am nobody and run and tell on me to receive different types of, that's when they get a raise. Yeah. And so I've literally had to step back because I do believe I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt. And I think that is when Illinois will pay attention. That is when law enforcement, and it'd be so unfortunate that would happen, that that's what it have to get to, that nobody will step in and say, hey, that's not what we do here. Hey, you can't do that just because you're an elected official, just
Right.
because you're the mayor and state rep. Hey, you can, and that goes for everybody, including myself, her, and everybody else, because everybody needs to be governed accordingly. Where are the laws and things? And so I believe that's how your alderwoman got arrested, because I believe they lied on her. Because if those appointed officials are told to file a complaint, then they're going to do as they're told to keep their job.
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
now, and then if you file the complaint and then the police say, oh, we got it, then that person is just gone. So you have to retreat, and in the retreat they get the upper hand. You know what I'm saying? You have to retreat, because I feel afraid that if I show up some places, I'm gonna be escorted out. I feel like if I show up in certain places that there will be an issue or a problem, or I'll be challenged. And that if I stand up for myself, if I stick up for myself, if I stand my ground, it won't be favorable for me.
And that's why I'm considered the social media alderman here. I did that out of necessity, because
Protection.
you see me going live.
You see what's happening.
So you see everything around me. Because if I didn't go live, the narrative would be something else. It started off where the former trustee in the village next to us was not capturing my presence at events. So I would have to go live. I was there. I support you, residents. I was there. But then you are fighting a battle about who controls what mics, and then you cut my mic off during a council meeting. If I wasn't live and the press wasn't there, nobody would believe that he cut my mic off. Because in Dalton, you had a whole fit when your mic was cut off. But you come here as an employee and you do it. And if I were not live, some of the interactions between Jones and I, like what was caught months ago at the library.
You would have been labeled as an angry black woman.
I would have been labeled, but he started the attack, and even said, you know, I should be hit over the head. And then there was this man that works for South Suburban College outside the library, and I have recorded him on my doorstep, because you now are canvassing and work for Jones and another alderman from Calumet City.
Do you feel that using social media has helped a little bit, maybe make things a little bit safer for you, or giving you guys a little bit more accountability?
I think for me, social media allows my family to know where I am, because if I hooty-hoo the wrong way, Calumet City is going to be shut down. I try not to be that person, but I know that I am one of the children that went to school. I still have a bunch of other relatives that dabble in the streets. You try to play street games under the guise of politics, but when the street meets up with you, then what? And that's what we try not to do here. We try to be very civil, because our constituents don't deserve to be in the middle of mess.
I appreciate it, because I believe that her social media, because I'm not a big social media person, I believe that her social media gives documentation to what has happened, and it shows that it's not, one, just me, two, that it's an attack on her. And then what it has done is she went live the day that we were turning in petitions, and our city attorney was out there. Now, I believe that the state need to do something, or even the federal government need to step in and do something where if we have a city attorney, I am a city official also. You have a duty to also support me and defend me. So even if we are at odds, you have to find some kind of medium, and you have to do that. Well, what I experience is that I am so afraid that even if I do something wrong in the capacity of my job, which is why he's suing me, that the attorneys will turn against me. My city attorneys is not supposed to turn against me, even if I do something wrong.
Right.
Because
they wouldn't do that for the mayor.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. They won't do that for the mayor.
They do that for Chris Clark too.
Yeah, and I had to say, and these are very prominent attorneys, very smart attorneys.
Our attorney was the head attorney on the Madigan trial.
I didn't know that, but I was going to say,
yes.
You have the same firm, Ansel Glink, I believe, that is corporate counsel for Cal City. That's also corporate counsel for Harvey, and that is also the firm that the Speaker of the House works for, Chris Welch. Also, the connections are interesting because Chris Welch and Ansel Glink were by far Mayor Clark's largest donors for his 2023 reelection bid. So it's interesting the patterns you see here and the overlap. I mean, and you said you don't feel supported, by Ansel Glink.
I don't feel safe. I actually feel attacked by Ansel and Glink. So it's not that they don't. I'm attacked by them. Like I literally have to become aggressive to make them respond to me. I have had to say, oh, well, you don't do this, you don't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. She's not supposed to do this, she's not supposed to do that. There is no level of avocation. I have had to report one of them to the ARDC, if I continue to move on in my capacity, I'm going to report all of them because they're going to continue to behave accordingly. We have Ansel Glink, we have Mike Casper, who's a very prominent, well-known attorney.
Madigan's attorney.
And we were out when we were, they had never talked to me before, and then showed up on the day when it was time to turn in petitions and tried to tell me how to do my job. And she had live on because I went.
I go live everywhere because I'm nervous.
And so what I asked the attorney, and I remember asking Casper, I said, "Who are you here to represent?" He said, "The city." I said, "It sure doesn't look like it. You are here. You standing next to Thaddeus. You're talking to him. You're guiding him. And everything is an attack with me." And then they make it like it's me. So after I told them, back up, get away from me, I don't trust you, I feel like a raccoon in the corner, then I'm the negative one, I'm the aggressive one, I'm this, after I've been attacked for 4 years, after there's been press releases on me. He compared me to the clerk that stole the millions of dollars.
53 million.
Yeah,
in Dixon, Illinois.
And then he stood up in front of everybody and said, yeah, we're going to do an audit, and what we hope to show is that there's malfeasance. So he told you what he was trying to do. He said, what we hope to show you is there's malfeasance. And we had audits, and it's come up with anything. And it has come to a point where my counsel have had to even apologize to me in some instances, like, wow, we're sorry, because now we see, because then he started to do it too. Once the males started to see that, then he started to attack them, because no one is exempt from it.
No.
I think women can get it a little bit faster from him. I think there's a fear of women leadership and women in politics, and women supporting each other. I believe that's why they try to play us against each other. I don't believe that my opponent has no business running. I think as a black woman, she knows exactly who Thaddeus is. We've all known each other for years. How dare you do that when you claim that Tiffany has done this to you and locked you out your office, when we've had conversations when they were doing it at the same time. So we were both locked out of our office at the same time. You got a press release. That's
what I don't understand about this whole thing, and that's what I was trying to definitely get you ladies to talk about, or try, the public. I feel like trying to make sense of how does one person, Thaddeus Jones, when he does certain things, and or Chris Clark, in the case of Harvey, and we're not really getting that outrage, we're not getting that response. But then, like we said, Tiffany Henyard does it, and then it's like we feel frustrated in Harvey. We're like, well, she sneezes and all the media covers it and says, oh, it was so disgusting, and she's the worst person ever, and she's the worst when she sneezes, she's such a bad mom. It's just like I'm exaggerating.
Well, I would
all the little things.
I would give kudos to the people of Dalton, because they forced recognition of their town. They forced people coming in and taking a look. So their voice showed everybody else that your voice matters.
Right.
Had they not spoken up, and that I have people say, because when the alderwoman in your town was treated a certain way, I made a post about it, and they're like, she don't make no post about you. And I said, that's the problem. Silence is toxic. And sometimes we can feel like our situation at the moment is the worst situation ever until it happens to somebody else. And when you don't speak up for others, nobody will speak up for you. So whether she speaks up for me or not, I am going to continue to call outrage when that happens, especially to women in leadership. Because what about, like the clerk said, what about the women who are HOA representatives or crossing guards or school teachers
or library board
directors that do not have these platforms? Then I don't want any woman or man to feel like they can't speak up. I think we've lost the humanity in governance. And I think there are people who really advocate for their city, towns, and villages, and then people that come in and want to make a quick buck or want to get some ratings, who may help that advocacy, but we lose sight of the humanity. Right or wrong, elected officials are elected to protect the public trust. Right or wrong, when the public says we don't trust you, the public has to go out and vote those same people that they voted in out. Right or wrong, there should be some check or balances above the municipal level once it gets here. Right or wrong, we don't need state officials trying to run townships, trying to run municipalities, being the
senator and the
alpha and omega of Illinois. Illinois has too many problems as it is. You just cannot juggle it all.
Do you think that we'll ever get the same level of criticism on the male politicians that are doing some of the same things that Tiffany Henyard has done, as far as Napoleon Harris, Christopher Clark, Thaddeus Jones, those are just a few. Will Davis, who we've complained to many times, and he is silent because he's best buddies with Christopher Clark. But do you think that we'll ever get the same level of criticism on these male politicians who, they might be a little quieter than Tiffany, but in many cases they're doing the same and worse?
No, I think that Tiffany is unconventional and she brings a lot of spotlight to herself. And so some of those things that she may do, being online or those different things, have probably contributed to some of that herself. But then at the same time, it also shows people what she do for her community. That's what she wants to show. So if that's her way of communicating, that's what it is. I do not believe that. I believe that there is a meeting behind, I think it's a conspiracy. I believe the men in the Southland have got together and said, hey, we need to keep these women out. I believe that Jones attacked me because I could have possibly ran for mayor. I believe that women are popular in the community, and I believe that black women are the #1 voters. So if black women are the #1 voters and they're putting people in office, and you happen to be a black woman and you can relate, there's nothing to do but to pit black women against each other, and to make black women look bad, or women, whatever it is. You make a woman look bad, make it look emotional, make it look extra. And I believe that is what has happened, because I've had relationships with these people for years. So what I do know is that for over 15 years, when I tell you that the relationships changed drastically when he became, that people will ostracize you, it was only because of the association. I've had great relationships with every one of my state reps, but Thaddeus Jones, with every one of my senators. But then as far as being able to go and get resources or to bring something, they would do that. They all knew how, that how I worked in my community and my level of integrity. But I have an issue with them when they can sit back and let someone do that. I'm not for that. I am not. That's not okay. So I'm not for any of them, because if you stand quietly for him and I see you attacking someone else, that's not okay for me. And so we gonna fix it, or I'm gonna die trying.
Yeah, because there's so much silence, or there's selective outrage. Again, not that I'm saying that me or anyone in Harvey, we're not approving of how Tiffany governs. It's just there's so much shock at how much other things get ignored depending on who's doing
no one's
the
seen
same behavior.
right. No one has
Yeah.
seen an
Exact
endorsement,
same
but
behavior.
you see my face, and I've had to tell residents, well, because no, you with Tiffany, and I was like, what does being with her mean? Can you first of all explain that to me? What does being with her mean? Have you seen me in Dalton at a board meeting? Have you seen me at the township meeting? Rah, 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 go Tiffany, that's what it is. No, you've seen me utilize resources. You've seen me be at events that,
Yes.
if she came to Calumet City and gave out gas, and my residence was out there, that's what she gave out gas. Was the gas thing legal? I would hope so, but she gave it out. That's what happened. You know,
You've seen me at Easter events in Dalton or what? Because that's who I am. I'm a director of a nonprofit. So anything that is going to help bring a little life into a community and help children, I'm there. If you're having something for the township and it happens to be held in Dalton, guess what? My taxes are paying that. I'm there. I want some free food too. And I'm going to be there. But this association with everything that they feel is negative, it's just outrageous. It's wrong.
Because we support other elected officials.
We do.
So I've been to the State Rep Marcus Evans events and used to be on all his fundraiser as a chairperson. And since Thaddeus has been in office, I have not. You know, I have, like I said, been to Governor Pritzker's events. I have been, you know, to my state senators' information, my all of them, because Calumet City encompasses quite a few.
Yes.
And so I'm a citywide elected official, so not just my personal state senator. I go to all of their events or support all of them, and I have done that for years. My commissioners, my Cook County commissioners, I have been at their events, and I don't see my face circulating with them. You know, even if I've been in Riverdale before, and that mayor is under.
He was indicted.
He was indicted, and I haven't even seen my face with him, right? And Thaddeus is under investigation. They didn't put no pictures up of us. You know what I'm saying? Together,
Right?
You know, they cut me out of pictures, and so I just hope people are really paying attention.
So past weekend, I was at the gala with the governor, lieutenant governor, water commissioner Precious Brady Davis, at Equality Illinois. So those are the things that I enjoy. I have Republican peers, I have Democratic peers, Libertarian, the Freedmen. We can learn from each other. Take what is working in other communities and bring it back to your own, especially if it's looking like Skid Row. The protection on the political level is just outrageous. And it's shameful when it is not consistent outrage.
Yeah, she has a, it was funny because something came out, I mean, so much bad stuff come out, I almost have to question myself sometimes. I'm like, well, I don't know this person. And
Where
so
did I get that dress from?
I text her and I said, hey, did you see this about us? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I don't even know this person. And I just got off the phone with somebody else. She was like, well, I know the person. I was just lumped in. We were just lumped in together. And, you know, I didn't even know the person where she knows the person. But there is, you know, Governor Edgar would talk about the importance of being able to work across the line.
Yes.
And I think that's great about her. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing that you should say that, oh, it's a Republican, and so you're just trying to ignite this fear.
That's what it is.
You know what really upsets me is that I feel like you feel like our residents are stupid,
and they are so not.
and it does impact some of them, and I believe it impacts some of them because they're so emotional about it. Like you said with the Tiffany thing, it's so sensationalized that they're like, oh my God, it's so awful. And then here comes a thing with the three of us, and then we just look like the Three Stooges or something across, you know. And so I think that it penetrates some of our residents based upon their emotional attachment to it, and that's sad. But I also think that I would never begin to tell my residents something that was such a malicious lie about them. I have too much respect for them, not him at all. I have too much respect for myself. I just have integrity, but I have too much respect for my residents to think that they would believe something so outlandish, and then I don't want them emotionally provoked. When that thing, when the YouTube came out about supporting President Trump, in that I had a neighbor down the street, a Latino neighbor down the street, whose family is being deported in other states, and approached me, very upset and approaching it, and I'm like, what are you talking, because I had not seen it, you know, what are you talking about? Very upset. My thing is, what if we didn't have a relationship? What if mental health or mental illness was an issue with this person, right? So we have people like the thing that happened in New Orleans. We have people shooting up schools. We have people going the term postal. What are you going to do if you say something that
incites
some type of violence against somebody, and it's done? I wouldn't do that to you. So why do you get to do that to me? And why is it okay? And then what are you going? I'm dead if I'm dead, or I'm paralyzed if I'm paralyzed. If you've done something to me, then what are you going to do? Have me what's the name at the library? You know, have me a memorial service at the library, and
because we can do everything at the library, but learn.
I wouldn't. Don't come to my service. Don't speak on me, because you've spoken of me, and it's negative. It has caused a lot of health issues. It is weighing.
It is stressful.
It's stressful, and it's unnecessary. Run a race. If you do not like me, you do not have to support me. You do not have to be my friend. Allow me to do my job. Run a race against me. Run on your platform, and let the chips fall where they may. If we happen to be in office together, you need to respect me. We need to be professional, courteous, and polite to each other, and we need to work together for the sake. We do not have to go out drinking together. We have to work together for the sake of the people, because they chose me as their city clerk.
Yes.
And they happen to choose you as the mayor, and her as the alderwoman, and him as the alderman. And so it is not our choice. We don't get to choose who we vote for, who we govern, who we work with.
Yeah.
You know, we don't get to choose that.
Or we
can cast a vote if I live in her ward, but I don't live in her ward. I live in another alderman ward. So I only get to cast one vote for that one person. That's it. Well, everybody can vote for me. She can decide if she wants to support me. If she does not, she has that right to do that. It's a democracy. But what we should not do is try to kill, steal, and put our family, friends, and our mental health at risk for an elected seat.
And
it's unethical.
And I live with multiple sclerosis, so my trigger is stress, and can't be too hot, and all hell breaks loose. And this is stressful, and I never want my 12-year-old to feel fear, or to feel that, Mom, something's gonna happen to you. And he got so upset yesterday. He was like, I'm tired of you helping people that don't even care about your safety. This is a 12-year-old. And I'm telling him, we are doing what I believe God has ordained my steps to do. I told another constituent today, after I win this race and serve the 4 years, I'll be working with a group of people to come in, and I don't believe that you should sit in an office for more than 8 years. I just don't. If you haven't done it within a certain term, especially a municipal seat as mine, I'm not citywide. So mine, if I haven't done it, let's give somebody else a try. Go in and reelect me for my second term. But after that, I won't seek another term, not as alderwoman. And so I told him, sometimes we have to leave what we receive better than we received it. And so he sort of understands that. But all of this, the stress from negativity doesn't have to be. If we didn't have relationships with our constituents, like today, a man said, "Oh, you up there hugging this Republican?" I said, "Now, sir, you bought property in unincorporated Will County, right? Where do you think I got the agricultural grant information from?" That senator, when he said that there are agricultural credits if you can build a farm on land that you own. Oh, now you understand why I go outside of Calumet City. What farms do we have here? None. Right. But you have property elsewhere, and this information can help you there, where you can be that black farmer, where you can get those credits, where you can get that money for infrastructure on your land you own. Stop knocking people because of party, but also stop voting for people because of assimilation. Start looking at the people and what we have to offer.
Right. So I was going to say that's a big weakness of the Cook County Democratic Party in general. There's no real enforcement of rules or ethics, or it's just sort of a free-for-all. I wanted to also bring up the activist Jedediah Brown, because he's done a lot of work in Dalton, some of the township, and then he has some of his team that has recently started helping us in Harvey with Mayor Clark and the civil rights violations there. So I don't know, I just saw a few posts. I don't know why. It sounds like Jed's not your biggest fan, Monet. I'm not saying that you have to speak for him.
Yeah.
But having spoken with both of you, I don't really think, to me, it doesn't seem like you guys have conflicting visions or goals. So I'm not quite sure.
I don't know. I did send him a message of condolences. His dad just passed.
Yes.
But it blew my mind, because you just had dinner in Orlando with my cousins. So, and then there's this post that people are sending me. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because a few months before you were asking me for help to help save the lives or move people into Calumet City. And I did what any elected official should do if they can. And he was thanking me for that. I think because I am very outspoken about the wrongs of a former Dalton trustee that works here in Calumet City, because we are wronged by this person because he is protected under Jones and Jones's protection. Maybe he feels like that is going to hinder the mayoral race there. I don't think so. I think people know who they're going to vote for and will come out and vote. People may not pick one ticket. They may split tickets. That's not for me to say, and I don't know if this is his thinking or not. But he has my phone number, as I have his, and there was never a conversation on why this post appeared. I was told certain things that I won't say here on why it appeared, and I just hope that it's not true. What I have noticed is, I'm just going to leave it at that. So I don't know what it is. We have gone as members of council. I have gone individually to ask him for help, because I saw the strides he was making in other communities, even in Flint, Michigan.
Right. Yeah.
And
we've been grateful for his team's help in Harvey. I wonder how much of it is, because I've seen this not just with Jedediah. I can't speak to his motives, but I've seen with other people where sometimes they may not be sympathetic to you ladies or what you're saying, or they might be kind of conflicted, because it seems like some people are not able to balance how do we support someone who's criticizing Thaddeus Jones, because Thaddeus Jones is criticizing Tiffany, whom we hate so much.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, because I've gotten into Facebook arguments with people over this, and I'm like, but can't you make the distinction in your head that, like, Thaddeus and Tiffany can both be doing bad things, even if Thaddeus is opposing Tiffany? And a lot of people, it seems like they just can't.
They cannot. They can't.
So when you're coming out, saying Thaddeus is doing all these bad things, it seems to me that there's just this filter some people can't get over where they're like, all they see is, well, he's opposing Thaddeus, and Thaddeus is helping us to get Tiffany out.
Yes.
Therefore, we have to be against you ladies.
And that was a real conversation I had actually at a bar with Jason House. Because I just didn't, and we had a very good conversation. And I believe that most things can be healed through conversation. And that's why I call myself Gigi. I'm good and grown. Whatever I say, I'm good and grown. I'm going to accept what I said. If it hurt you, I apologize. Change behavior. It won't happen again. Please forgive me. Do you forgive me? You do. Let's move forward. But I asked him, I said, now, this is happening in Dalton. And we're saying that it's happening here in Calumet City. How do you donate $1,000 to the person happening in Calumet City?
Oh, I didn't even know that he donated. But it doesn't surprise me, though. It doesn't, because I've seen this behavior. Yes. So what did he say?
And for him, it is to say, I am supporting a candidate. But you may not know, which I don't think he knew at the time, what was happening. At least
they knew.
Yeah, I tried it. I would like to say I would like to say that they didn't know,
right.
But
we've had conversations. I've had conversations with these people. They know mutual people that I know. They are aware. They may not be aware of exactly what he's
the severity
on the council or that there was a trip to New Orleans with the credit card, or that or that you stole my signature. They may not know those intricate details because every time we say something, it's kind of swept under the rug. But what I would say is that you should be quiet if you don't know, which is exactly what it is that's happening in other places, because the association is not, like you said, if you've seen somebody with R. Kelly, if we had a picture with R. Kelly, then now am I a sex offender? So right. I feel like again, I think people are picking and choosing who they want to support, picking and choosing where ethics matter, where morale matters. I think people are picking and choosing, and that lacks integrity to me. So if it is for one, it's one for one, it's for all. So my thing is, okay, so when they ask me, I say, well, what is the difference from Tiffany? It's not a defense of Tiffany, and it's not knocking her. Well, what is the difference? Let me tell you, there's not a difference. If what she's doing is wrong, then what he is doing is wrong, because it is the exact same thing. So either she's okay and he's okay, or she's wrong and he's wrong. But whatever it is, both of them together would be wrong. And so, and that's just the bottom line.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride, and stay tuned for part 3 as the ladies spill more tea about politics in Calumet City.